This is how you set up auto translation for your Twitch, YouTube and Kick streams. The translation is completely autonomous, letting you take Spanish in and put English out, or any other language you desire. And the good part about this tool is that it lets you speak directly back to the viewer in their language. It's completely free and there's no monthly fees or anything like that. You just need to download it, import it and start using it. Okay, so let's get straight into it. Okay, so the first thing you want to do, come over to my Ko-fi page. This is where I host all of my packs, all of my overlays, everything like that. It all gets hosted on my Ko-fi page. Everything's free, so all you have to do is enter $0, or you can optionally give me a donation and that would help me out a lot. So let's go. Let's enter 0, get now, check out, view content, and then we'll just hit this big download button up here. It's going to download a chat translator zip file. So open File Explorer, we come to the downloads. We can open up that zip file here, and all we have to do, if we just copy this and then paste it somewhere, so I'll just pop it on this drive here, and then you see that there's a couple of files in here, but we do actually only need one file this time, and it's just going to be the Streamer.bot import.txt. So let's open up Streamer.bot. Okay, and once you've got Streamer.bot open, all you need to do is come up to the top and click import, and you're going to see this big box here. Now all we need to do is grab that Streamer.bot import.txt right here, just drag and drop it in, and then that's going to give you all these actions. Just click import and just click yes, yes and okay, and then you're going to get these actions up here. So these basically control all of the translation, everything that happens in the chat, all the commands and everything like that. So that's pretty much the whole thing set up. It's very easy to set up. It's just the configuring that you need to do here. So if we click the configure and come over to the right, see where my mouse is there, double click on this and it's going to open a little kind of like a code box here. It does have everything you need kind of commented out here, so you can read through it and see what you're supposed to change. You can see TR target lang here, which is your language essentially. So you basically want to set this to your region code in which the language you speak, and everything that gets translated will translate into this language automatically from the chat. And then the master on and off switch, this literally just lets you turn it on and off. There is a command for this as well, so you don't have to come into Streamer.bot every single time, but you can just turn it off permanently if you want to. Now there are a few different translation providers that you can have the options to use here. By default it's selected to Google, which is completely free and there's no API keys required. However, it is rate limited, so if you have a lot of people putting in foreign messages in chat in quick succession, it might run out. So we do have two different providers that we can use as a backup, one of them being deepl and the other being libre. These two do require an API key though, so head over to their respective websites, get that set up. Only if you need it. It's highly unlikely that you will need it, but just in case it is there as an option. So this next setting is actually how the message shows in chat when something's been translated. So we can see that it's using variables here. So it posts a emoji, a little universal emoji, and then it has the username and then the language and then the text that it's translated into. So you can use these variables to kind of change how the message is formatted if you want to do that. One thing to note, it will, if you don't have a bot account connected to Streamer.bot, then it will use your personal Twitch account to post in chat to get these translations to come through. If you connect a bot account into Streamer.bot, it'll use that bot instead. However, just to make you aware that it will look like if the message is coming from you. The tr.reply will basically reply to the message that the translation is for, so that you can accurately see who's posted it and who the translation is for. The tr.broadcaster is kind of like a backwards compatibility for the rest of my overlays, so if you want to link it to other stuff that I've already done, you have a WebSocket that it'll cast out to essentially, so you could implement it with like your alerts that we set up last week, or you know, something like that, and it'll be able to integrate fully. Okay, now we have some anti-spam guards, which, as you probably know as a streamer, is very important because it will just rinse all your usage that we were just talking about with the Google kind of rate limiting thing. So essentially what you can do, you can limit it to a minimum amount of characters. So anything under 6 characters currently, as you can see that's set here, will not be translated at all. If you need that to be slightly different, obviously you can change it here. Then we have a confidence setting, and this essentially dictates how confident the program is that it is a certain language and it's something that needs to be translated. So for instance, if there was a word that's kind of the same in two languages, it will kind of determine whether to translate it or not, and you can essentially tweak this confidence in the setting. And then we have the skip languages, because obviously we don't want our own language or maybe another language to be translated, depending on what your community is like. So just add the region tags in this setting here, and it won't be translated at all. And then we have an allow list, which is essentially the inverse of the last one that we just spoke about. So you add the region tags in here, and these are the only ones that will be translated rather than the ones that are skipped. And then we have some more filters here, which are kind of saving you on the rate limiting, not translating the wrong things. So we have skip commands, which won't translate commands. Seems pretty simple. Skip all caps, which will make it so if someone types in all caps, it won't get translated. And then we have user cooldown, so the amount of time between user messages being translated per user, and this helps also with spam. You have a max per minute, and this is essentially how many messages can be translated per minute on the channel, and that's across all users. Then you've got dedupe and this is essentially ignoring messages that are exactly the same for a certain amount of time, also to stop spamming. And then max characters, which is essentially the max amount of characters the message can be before it decides not to translate it because it's not worth it. And then we have ignoreBot account and ignoreBroadcaster. Most of the time you'd want these to be set to true, because that essentially means your messages won't get translated. However, depending on what you're using it for, you might want that to be on, so use this at your own discretion. And then we have ignore users. So essentially this is a list of users which in no circumstance will their messages be translated, and this is essentially used for different bots, like you can see here for like Nightbot and Stream Elements and stuff like that. If bots are sending messages that are kind of similar to foreign words that it might interpret as a translation, and then you just get chat spammed and it's just not something you want to deal with. This is where you add that. And then we have ignore words. So these are basically a set of words, well, character groups that won't be translated, and this is just because, for instance, stuff like poggers is obviously, it's not actually a word, so you basically want the program to ignore this because it might think, oh, it's trying to be another word. And then we have the debug, and this will essentially add logging into Streamer.bot. So in the Streamer.bot logs, it will just show everything that's been translated. This is mostly for figuring out if something's not working properly. However, if you are having any issues, head down to the description and join the Discord. I help everyone out in there who's having trouble with any of my packs, and it's a nice community to be around. So here is the !say options, and this is essentially how you talk back. So essentially you can set here which language to talk back in. So let's say you're a streamer who streams to English and Spanish viewers. So here you would set your audience language to Spanish if you talk primarily in English, and then essentially whenever you use the /say command, it will translate it automatically into Spanish so that they can see that that's what you've said. And then as you can see here, the say format, it's exactly the same as the translation format we had before, where it just dictates how the message is going to be sent and how it's going to look. And that is all of the configuration for the translation bot that you're going to need. Completely customizable, if you've just seen, so pretty much anything you want to do with it you can do. So let's give it a go. I'm going to demonstrate here the kind of use of the translator bots. So if you do !translator, you can see here that it will essentially turn it on. So you can start getting translations. So mine's currently configured for Spanish mostly. Now, I don't know very much Spanish. I will try my best, but don't hate on me. I don't know, see, I've run into that exact issue that I was talking about in the configuration section. Essentially, it's currently ignoring my broadcaster profile, so anything I put, it won't translate, and that is by design. So just remember, as I said earlier, to tweak that if you need it on or off. And you can see here, once I've turned that off, it now translates successfully, and it basically detects the language. It tells you which language it's from and who said it, and then gives you what they've said. And then if we do !say and we put how are you doing, it then translates it directly into Spanish for the viewers to see and to read. So that's essentially the whole workings of the bot. If you need to do anything else with it, all the actions are fully configurable. It's all, the code's all in there, so feel free to mess around with it, tweak it, and use the system for your own projects or anything like that on your stream. If you need anything else, like I said, join the Discord below, and give the channel a like and subscribe. It just helps me out. And thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.